Imagine a world where the greatest victories are won not with a single drop of blood, but with pure wisdom. What if the best way to conquer isn't actually to fight, but to understand? Welcome. Today we're exploring a truly timeless classic. It offers insights, far beyond just military strategy. Our mission is to pull out the most potent ideas from Sun Tzu's The Art of War, find some surprising facts, and maybe some practical wisdom for your life today. And actually, speaking of reflection and rational thought, if you're looking for more of that, check out Mindful Moments on our YouTube channel. It's all AI-powered book analysis, and it really ties into what we're talking about here. Okay, so to really get Sun Tzu's philosophy, where do we start? What are the absolute foundations?
Right. Well, a key thing is how seriously Sun Tzu takes warfare.
Yeah.
Life and death requires real systematic thought. He lays out these 5 constant factors that basically determine victory. They're the bedrock. First, there's the moral law. That's about, harmony between the ruler and the people, unity. Then heaven, that covers things like timing, weather, seasons. Then earth, which is all about the physical ground, the geography, advantages, disadvantages. Fourth is the commander. The leader needs qualities like wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness too. And finally, method and discipline. That's about the organization, the structure, managing resources. These are pretty universal, really.
Universal, yeah. Not just for armies.
Exactly. And underpinning all of this is a core idea. All warfare is based on deception. And this isn't just simple tricks. It's much deeper. Strategic manipulation. You need to appear weak when you're strong, maybe seem far when you're near, create false impressions about everything, your strength, your intentions. Victory comes from being smarter, basically. Calculation, outmaneuvering through intelligence, not just brute force.
So it's less about muscle and more about mind games. Controlling perception. I can see that in, say, a negotiation. You might hint you're ready to walk away when you're actually very invested.
Or make a competitor think you're focused on product A while you're secretly pouring resources into product B.
Exactly. Shaping the reality the other side sees.
Okay, so we've got the foundations, the importance of deception.
Yeah.
But what's the ultimate goal, according to Sun Tzu? He talks about supreme excellence, and it feels, well, almost paradoxical for a book on war. What's he getting at?
Yeah, it is fascinating. Supreme excellence, for Sun Tzu, is actually achieving victory without fighting, without direct conflict. He even gives a hierarchy. The best strategy: disrupt the enemy's plans before they even start. Next best is to prevent their alliances from forming. Then, attacking their forces directly. And the absolute worst option, the one you really want to avoid, is besieging cities. It's incredibly costly.
So attacking is pretty low down the list. Relatively speaking, yes. He states it very clearly. To fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
Wow.
And this isn't about being weak or avoiding conflict passively. It's about achieving a more complete win, a more efficient one. It takes, superior preparation, really good intelligence, psychological pressure, basically making the enemy see that fighting is futile. The book mentions skilled leaders who subdue the enemy's troops without any fighting, capture their cities without laying siege.
That saves so much, doesn't it? Resources, lives.
Immense amounts.
Imagine applying that, outmaneuvering a challenge instead of just crashing into it head on. The deepest wins are often the quiet ones. Okay, so we've covered the big picture strategy. What about the nitty-gritty, tactics, managing forces on the ground?
Right, tactics. Sun Tzu puts a lot of emphasis on securing your own position first, establishing yourself beyond the possibility of defeat, as he puts it. Only then do you look for the opportunity to defeat the enemy. Defense is in your control. Offense depends on the enemy making mistakes.
Makes sense. Secure your base first.
Exactly. And he talks about direct versus indirect methods. You might use direct attacks to engage, but it's often the indirect, the unexpected moves that actually secure the victory. It's about that mix of the obvious and the subtle. Then there's this really interesting concept of energy management.
Energy management, like keeping troop morale up.
That's part of it, but it's broader. He compares military energy, or maybe momentum, to a round stone rolled down a mountain thousands of feet in height. It's about building and directing that force. And timing is crucial here. He notes that typically a soldier's spirit is keenest in the morning. By noonday, it has begun to flag, and in the evening, his mind is bent only on returning to camp.
Huh. Yeah, I feel that.
So a good commander uses these rhythms. They attack when the enemy's energy is low, their spirit is flagging, while making sure their own forces are, psychologically peaked.
That morning energy idea really clicks. I know my own focus tanks later in the day, but thinking about that, knowing your own best times and maybe anticipating when others might be less sharp, That could be a real advantage in meetings, projects, anywhere, really.
It's leveraging those natural human cycles, absolutely.
Okay, preparation, timing. And this next part feels incredibly relevant today, almost modern, despite the book's age. What does it say about intelligence gathering? Spying.
Oh, it's huge in The Art of War.
Yeah.
He's incredibly detailed about it. He actually outlines 5 classes of spies. You've got local spies, people from the enemy's own district, inside spies, officials within the enemy's ranks, then converted spies, basically. Enemy spies you've turned, doomed spies. These are your own spies you give false information to, knowing they'll be caught, to mislead the enemy.
Wow, doomed spies. That's ruthless.
It is. And finally, surviving spies, the ones who come back with the actual intelligence. And he's very firm. This kind of foreknowledge doesn't come from spirits or abstract calculations. It has to come from people, from human sources who know the enemy's situation.
So boots on the ground, essentially.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking, anyway.
Yes. And he argues that being unwilling to spend money on intelligence, on spies, is actually the height of inhumanity.
Inhumanity, why so strong?
Because, he says, raising a massive army, marching them long distances, it costs a fortune. It drains the state, burdens the people. Prolonged conflict is devastating. Investing heavily in good intelligence, even if it seems expensive up front, is actually far cheaper than fighting a long war based on guesswork. It prevents wasted effort, saves lives, saves money. Intelligence gives you that crucial edge.
So the real insight is, ignorance is expensive, way more expensive than knowledge. Investing in understanding whether it's a market, a competitor, even just a complex problem you're facing, it's not a cost. It's the most economical approach in the long run. Lack of information always costs more. Makes sense. But strategy needs people to execute it. What does Sun Tzu say about leadership, about managing those forces effectively, and self-understanding?
Yeah, managing people is key.
Mm-hmm.
He explains that managing a huge army isn't fundamentally different from managing a small one. It's about organization, dividing them up. Crucially, it's about clear communication. Using things like gongs, drums, flags, banners, ways to signal across the noise and chaos of a battlefield so everyone moves as one. The goal is to create a single united body so even the bravest soldier can't advance alone and the most timid can't retreat alone. It's about coordinated action.
Unity through clear signals.
Exactly. And the leader needs this balance. Treat soldiers with humanity, make them feel valued, but maintain control with, as he puts it, iron discipline. He also warns leaders about 5 specific dangerous faults. Things like recklessness, which leads to destruction, cowardice, leading to capture, a hasty temper, easily provoked, too much concern for personal honor, making you sensitive to shame or insults, and even over-solicitude for the troops, which can cause worry and hesitation.
That last one's interesting. Caring too much.
Yeah, it's about balance. Caring is vital, but if it paralyzes you with worry, it becomes a weakness. It's a really nuanced view of leadership psychology. And this all leads into probably the most famous line from the book. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Ah, yes. Everyone knows that one.
But it's not just a catchy phrase. It's deeply practical. If you know both sides completely, victory is assured. Know yourself, but not the enemy. You'll win some, lose some, equal chance. But if you know neither yourself nor the enemy, you're basically guaranteed to lose every time. This knowledge lets you choose your battles wisely, know when to engage, when to hold back.
That know yourself part feels so critical beyond just military stuff. It means really understanding your own strengths, your weaknesses, what resources you actually have, even your own emotional triggers, right? That kind of honest self-assessment.
Absolutely. Deep self-awareness.
Combine that with understanding the challenge or the opponent, and you can navigate almost anything, career moves, personal conflicts from a place of real clarity and not just reacting.
Okay, last big area. We know plans change. Reality bites. How does the book handle adaptability?
Yeah.
And what's its take on the financial side of things, the economics of war? Adaptability is central. Sun Tzu compares strategy to water as it takes the shape of his container, or in this case, the situation. Just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare, there are no constant conditions. So a good commander has to be flexible, modify tactics based on the enemy, the terrain, the moment. No rigid formulas. He even says there are times when you must disobey orders from the sovereign if the situation on the ground demands it. Roads not to follow, armies not to attack, cities not to besiege.
So judgment on the ground trumps orders from afar sometimes.
In his view, yes, if circumstances dictate. Situational awareness is paramount.
Yeah.
He also touches on different types of ground, like dispersive ground near home where troops might not fight hard, versus desperate ground where they'll fight fiercely because there's no escape. Each needs different handling. But the economic dimension is really striking. He's very blunt. No instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. Speed is essential.
Get it done quickly.
Yes. Because war is incredibly expensive. He emphasizes living off the enemy foraging. He calculates that one cartload of the enemy's provisions is equivalent to 20 of one's own, because you save the transport costs and effort. And he lists all the other costs too: entertaining envoys, repairs, materials like glue and paint for equipment. It all adds up, draining the state daily when a large army is mobilized.
It's a reminder that conflict, any prolonged struggle, isn't just about the fight itself, it's the drain. Resources, energy, morale, future opportunities. It really underscores the value of that swift, decisive action he advocates based on good intelligence. Solve the problem efficiently, preserve your strength. That applies everywhere. Business rivalries, personal goals. So wrapping this up, The Art of War is clearly much more than just an old book about fighting. It feels like a guide to navigating competition, strategy, even just understanding people. Winning without fighting, the power of knowing things, knowing yourself. These ideas are still so powerful today.
Absolutely. Its influence across so many different fields, business, law, even sports, really speaks to how fundamental its insights are. It gives you a powerful way to think about complex situations, not just battles.
Definitely. And before we finish, if you found this interesting and want more analysis like this, do check out Mindful Moments on our YouTube channel. It's got more AI-driven book insights to get you thinking. And we'll put a link to Buy the Art of War in the notes if you want to read it yourself.
And maybe a final thought to leave with. Consider how often we instinctively reach for force, for direct confrontation, when maybe, just maybe, the truly greater victory lies in understanding things so well that the fight itself becomes unnecessary. The unseen win.
Powerful thought. We really encourage you to subscribe, maybe share this with someone who enjoys these aha moments. And most importantly, keep thinking critically. Keep asking questions about the wisdom out there. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep outmaneuvering those challenges.